Hey everyone, Brian with FlightDash.io. Let's take a look at our newest feature, the AI cabin crew announcements. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and open up the app. Agree to the terms. So just as before, I'm starting on a blank slate here. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get some things configured. Again, if you've already saved some of your configuration before, the easiest thing to do is import your config file. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Give me a moment here while I find my latest one. And we can see that automatically brought in my SimBrief pilot ID and then also an OpenAI API key, which is required to use this feature. So everything on FlightDash.io, we try to make it free, open source as possible. AI, unfortunately, new. It's just not free. You know, they charge to use their service. So in order to use this feature, you do have to set up an account with OpenAI, and set that up to get an API key. Once you have that, you will be able to use that here. And the current estimate is typically what I've seen done doing some testing is doing each of the announcements during a flight will roughly cost you somewhere between 40 to 50 cents in USD. Again, that's at the time of this recording in December 2023. If OpenAI rates change and whatnot, then that may vary. And then also depending on how the AI generates the scripts based on your flight, it could slightly vary as well. So again, before using this feature, we do have a full policy on this and some more information that we definitely encourage and require you to read and agree to before using this. But overall, the result is pretty cool. So once you have that set up, you'll be able to go ahead and enter your API key here. So that being said, that is entered. Let's jump into some announcements. So a few additional things that are prerequisites for just jumping into the announcements. We need to have some flight data there. So I'm going to go ahead and import my latest SimBrief flight plan. I'll go ahead and do that. And if you haven't seen the video on doing that, we do have another recording for that. So definitely check that out and learn more about how this works. But we need a flight plan. Well, we don't actually need one, but it makes things easier. So I'm going to load one. The part that you do need, though, is your flight data. So this icon right here on the left with the pencil, importing a SimBrief flight plan will pre-populate almost all of this for you, except for the airline here. So I'm just going to type in JetBlue as our airline. If you aren't using a flight plan, then you would just need to manually complete all of this information and just make sure none of them are blank, because all of them do get used at some point during the AI cabin crew announcement. So they are all required. The feature will let you proceed without it, but you may run into errors with the API service, or it might not play back anything. Or if it does, it might just be some random information. So you want to make sure that all of this is completed. The other thing you want to do here is click this generate flight crew. So this you can click as many times as you want to kind of generate different names. Basically, you can kind of guess their gender based on the names here as well, and their voices will be, similar to what the name is. So you may end up with a female pilot, you may end up with a male pilot. You can basically just keep randomizing this until, if you want to be a little bit more specific with that, you can get to a specific configuration. The captain has some announcements, the lead flight attendant has some announcements, and then also the gate attendant will have some announcements as well. Those are the three that are primarily going to be speaking. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it like this. And let's jump over to our announcements section. So the little megaphone icon here is for your announcements. So before we get started with this, we definitely did include some information here on using the announcements. So we have a link to our usage policy here. Definitely read through it. Again, this may be something that you're not fully comfortable with, and we hear you. At this point where it's in open beta, it is something you have to sign up for to use. And just know that within OpenAI 2, one thing I definitely recommend is they can allow you to set a limit. So if you want to say, I only want to spend $2 max on this, you can set that limit. So if anything kind of weird goes on, that OpenAI is not going to allow this application to charge anything further than what you've set there. So just be aware of that as well. When you're setting up your OpenAI account, that option does exist and you can go ahead and set that. which, maybe if you want to try it out and just make sure only 50 cents gets spent or whatnot, you can definitely have that control. So you're going to want to read through that. Once you've read through it, you're going to click this checkbox here. There's also a statement here just saying that you understand that any costs incurred are going to be your responsibility. It's experimental. It's all through OpenAI. Flightdash.io does not handle any of the payment or whatnot. So if something weird goes on, then unfortunately it's not going to be something that we can help with. You'd have to reach out to OpenAI directly. So just want to make sure you're checking and understanding that. You understand that it's open beta feature. Even with OpenAI, they, sometimes they have downtime, things like that. So it may not always work as expected. And then the last two settings are just the last two checkboxes are confirming that you have some settings in place before you go ahead and get started. So you're going to just check that you've added your OpenAI API key in the settings, which again, we already have. And then also you've ensured that the flight data and flight crew are generated, which we just did a moment ago as well. Just verify that everything is good here before you proceed. So we'll go ahead and check that. And you can see now that some more things open up. We get our AI crew announcements buttons here to go ahead and get started, and then also some additional information. So I'm actually going to go ahead and click one of them, and we should be able to hear the announcement. You can see this blue pulsating icon means it's loading right now. And this explanation here is just saying that it's not instant. There's some things going on behind the scenes here to process your flight data, create a script, record the audio, and send it back to us. So just be aware sometimes it can take 30 seconds up to about 2 minutes, depending on the length. Here it goes.
Attention passengers for JetBlue Flight 198 from Boston to New York. This is your gate attendant, Carl speaking. We'd like to begin by thanking you for choosing to fly with us today. Our flight is scheduled to depart on time. We expect to begin boarding in approximately 30 minutes. Please have your boarding passes and identification ready for when we begin. This will help us to board the flight quickly and efficiently. We remind all passengers to check the size of their carry-on luggage at our measuring devices. If it doesn't fit, please come to the desk to have it checked in. We also encourage passengers to review the safety information card in the seat pocket in front of you once you board the aircraft. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to welcoming you on board JetBlue Flight 198 to New York. The local time now is 1:24 p.m. Please prepare for boarding at 1:55 p.m. Safe travels to all.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, a couple cool things there. It was basically accurate, very accurate with the boarding time when it's going to start. Had our airline number, or our airline name and flight number, some general information. So it is really cool how it kind of gets all of that information from the flight plan and kind of gives you an accurate announcement. Let's do one more. We won't go through all of them here. There's another video where you can kind of see some examples of that, but let's say our cruise. Let's check that one out here. And of course, it's going to take a few moments here, so we'll let it do its thing here. Typically, I recommend before triggering these, like when you're flying, maybe click it just a little bit earlier than you'd want it to happen, if that's possible. That's sometimes I get ahead of it, and that'll just allow it to kind of play when you want it to.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We are now cruising at an altitude of 16,000 feet on our journey towards New York. We are aboard Flight 198, and I hope you're all comfortable and enjoying the flight so far. I want to take a moment to introduce your flight crew for today. In the cabin, we have flight attendants William, another William, Nellie, and Ida. They will be providing in-flight services shortly. Our estimated time of arrival in New York is approximately 3:38 p.m. Please note that local time might be different from your watch as we adjust to the destination's local time. We will do our best to ensure we reach on time or even before if possible. As we approach New York, you can expect cold weather around 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Please remember to bundle up before you disembark from the aircraft. Thank you for choosing to fly with JetBlue today. We appreciate your business and we hope you enjoy the flight. I will keep you updated on our progress. Until then, sit back, relax, and enjoy the journey.
All right. So yeah, another couple neat things there. It said like the flight crews, their names correctly. It got the cruise from our flight plan. The cruise level here is 16,000 feet. So that was accurate. It did some weather information and things like that. So again, it's pretty neat how it gets all of that information as accurate as possible. So yeah, that is really it for the quick kind of overview and how to on the announcement feature. So hope everyone enjoys this, and thank you for watching.